Having brought up the hero from the future, Booster Gold, we obviously can't talk about him without talking about time travel, which is yet another branch of technology heavily used in DC Comics. For the most part, time travel is in the realm of scientific advancement. That is, it is brought about through the study and use of quantum mechanics, also known as temporal mechanics. Speedsters, like the various incarnations of the Flash, are also capable of time travel, but that is through their connection with the Speed Force, which we'll talk about a little later when we wrestle with the subject of metahumans. Anyway, that's not to exclude some magical heroes and beings from employing their own form of time travel, but for this we'll just focus on the regular people accessing this ability. So who invented time travel? Well, according to the post-crisis universe, that would be the adventurer Rip Hunter. Once again, just a regular guy. Granted, he's super smart, but still human. However, we should point out at this time that Rip being from a distant future means that time travel doesn't come about until many years in the future, as the technology just isn't there in present day. But once time travel exists, we know that it can affect any time period, so that's not really an issue. So how does Rip do it? Being one of the leading scientists in temporal mechanics, Rip designed 2 different devices that would allow him and others to travel back and forth through time. The first being the Time Sphere, also known as the Time Bubble. This small craft can travel to basically any time and place with only a few limitations, which we'll get into at a later date. Later, an individualized time pack would also be built from the records of the Time Sphere, allowing the individual wearing the pack to time travel on their own. Now, for those of you watching DC's Legends of Tomorrow, you're probably wondering why I haven't mentioned the ship Rip Hunter uses, called the Waverider. Well, the reason for that is that it didn't exist until now. Or at least not in this way. If you think back to our first video on the multiverse, you might remember our section on Vanishing Point and the Linear Men, which listed among its members a man named Matthew Ryder, whose code name was Waverider. That's right, Rip's ship is actually named for a character. But this is probably just an Easter egg put there for the fans and has no real connection to the character Matthew Ryder. As for why they have a ship instead of a time sphere, well, it probably has to do with the fact that they need room for at least 8 people, and the sphere couldn't handle that. However, you can see a version of the time sphere in CW's The Flash during the end of Season 1 as the Reverse Flash uses it in an attempt to return to his own time. Now, obviously time travel can be super risky, with small changes causing a huge ripple effect, as we saw in the events of 0 Hour, Crisis in Time, and Flashpoint. So this technology needs to be handled with care. Finally, in this grouping, we have heroes that are purely technology. I'm talking about robots and artificial intelligence. No, not that one, I mean. There we go, much better. Anyway, these heroes and villains are completely man-made. Though some might also possess some alien technology, or even a human soul, these characters are built, not born. Being an artificial intelligence/robot has a lot of perks, as they are usually made of physically stronger stuff than humans. They can also be given many abilities through the programs and technology installed in them. Another possible perk would be that these guys are super hard to kill. Not only can they take a licking and keep on ticking, but often when their robotic body is destroyed, their AI consciousness can be sent somewhere else, or is backed up into another robot body just waiting to be activated. Examples of such characters are the heroes Shaolin Robot, Red Tornado, Our Man, and the Metal Man, as well as the villains Amazo and Brainiac. Moving on to our next group of heroes and villains, we'll look at those who have inherited their abilities through their possession of a metagene that has turned them into a superpowered metahuman, so stay tuned.